The food system. What is it? The food system is the path that our food travels from the field to the fork. This system is interrelated and interdependent. In a natural environment, one cannot exist without the other. Local food stories help our economy and help consumers know exactly where their food comes from. This amazing path connects farms to people and people to their food. Let's find out more about a food story. There are 5 main parts of a food story. The story starts with production, moves to processing, then moves to distribution, then moves to consumption, and ends with waste. Then the story begins again. With our subtropical weather in 4 different regions, South Carolina food stories are unique. This South Carolina food system story focuses on waste. Waste is the process of what's done with the leftover food. But to find out more, we have to ask.
What's my South Carolina food story? Cleaning something up and it smelled like bad breath.
How would you describe waste?
On it, waste isn't so much, it's not garbage, it's excess. These are residuals.
Can you walk us through the waste and compost process?
All right, so these piles over here of our plant waste, that's just everything that you saw back at the plant. It's what we don't use. It's loaded up, it's brought over here and dumped, and then we have lines of that, and this guy keeps it pretty organized. So we have lines of our waste screens, and then he'll use this hay beside us, the straw beside us, and he'll basically just layer it and mix it, and every couple days he'll rotate it and mix it up, and then gradually with heat it decomposes and becomes farther to the right you can see the lines of the finished product basically, which is the compost.
And then we put that compost back into our fields to help add a little bit more soil fertility.
How is the process of creating waste inside different than creating it on the out?
We'll have laid out wood chips, a bed of wood chips, and they will dump the food onto the wood chips, at which point I will bring them into the building and mix them with more wood chips. These bays to the left, which are aerated bays and have forced air running through them at intervals on timers, that material will go into a bay and then sit there for 5 days and then be turned, moved over to the next bay, and then sit there for 5 more days and move to the next bay. And after enough turns, when the material is stabilized, it will go outside and go through that tiny orange screener you see through that door. It will fall from the back. We'll take out the stuff that's too big and reincorporate it into new piles with more food waste, and the compost will go out and sit outside. We do this all indoors because it gives us greater control over the environment.
And where does your leftover food come from?
They pick up from a few hospitals, Publix locally signed on. They pick up from 7 stores locally.
And where does the waste go next?
Nurseries, turf growers, like grass growers, any organic farmers, the lion's share, and sell it in bags to basically anybody who's willing to buy it.
What makes up a great compost mixture?
Food has a pretty perfect carbon and nitrogen ratio.
I think a really great compost is 3 things. You got to have good green manure, which is your source of water and some nutrients. You got to have brown manure, which is carbon. It's dry matters. It's old hay, old wheat straw. Could be sawdust. We've used a little bit of that in the past. Or fine salt wood chips. And then the third component is good aeration, good mixing. And we try to turn our compost about once a week.
We don't take manure or poop or blood. We take only pre- and post-consumer food waste.
This South Carolina food story of waste tells us that waste or compost is added to the soil that helps grow South Carolina grown produce. The three important parts are green, brown, and mixing. Because of this step, South Carolina is able to grow great produce. So what's the moral of the South Carolina food story?
We recover materials and then bring them back into the flow of the food system.